It is mock draft live, and here we are. Aaron Stewart is joining me this evening for another knock 'em out, drag 'em out, head-to-head mock draft tonight. I'm excited because we're doing a little bit differently tonight, aren't we?
Little bit differently. So for those of you that saw the last mock draft live that we were a part of, we were on the Friday version of the show. We did a 2-round rookie mock draft that was half PPR, non-Superflex. And, you know, I had to put the tweet out there. By default, I won. I won the draft because you drafted a tight end in the second round. And that's just an automatic L in a rookie draft. Just those tight ends are going to let you down. So that's why I'm dressed funeral arrangements here. So, you know, dressed in all black because going for a sweep here against you.
All right. Well, I accidentally showed up for my own funeral wearing black as well. So we'll see how it goes tonight. I'm excited because this is the format that I like the most, Superflex tight end premium. So if I can figure out the technology here, the secret ways that Matty Kiwoom showed me earlier. He shared this very intricate spreadsheet that he's been using. So hopefully that looks okay. And what do we want to do? Since you got the 101 last time, should I take it today?
Yeah, I'm gonna have mercy on you. You know, you got to make a comeback here. You're gonna have the 101. You got to try and even the series here. I'm 1-0.
Yeah. So I'll go ahead and take it. I'll take the mercy. I'm not above that. So at the 101 to kick this thing off, I think I'm just gonna do what most people would do and play it safe. Bijan Robinson, I think, is the consensus 101 in pretty much every format. So I'm gonna go ahead and take him. I can find him here, and I'm going to make him the 101. And for sake here, let's see. I'm going to be yellow, so I'm going to be the yellow stripes, and Aaron will be the orange. So I'm going to make Bijan Robinson my pick. Pretty easy for me. I don't know if much analysis is required, but with Aaron now, I think at the 102 it gets interesting because I'm really not sure what Aaron was going to do. I have a feeling I know what he's going to do, but we'll see.
Well, before I make the 102 pick, I see Cody in the chat there. Cody's already in the chat supporting us. And, not only did Seth take the L in the last rookie mock draft that we did on Friday, like even his microphone is taking an L because it's just not one to cooperate. I don't know what it is. I think even the microphone got a little scared that I'm coming back on to, of course, win this rookie mock draft. So we're trying to figure out some technical difficulties there, but it's the microphone just isn't wanting to work. But Bijan Robinson, definitely a W there, even though it's super flex. Got to get Bijan Robinson. It's a difference maker. And there's questions here. It's super flex. It's not just tight end premium. It's super flex. You got to go quarterback. It's risky, but I'm not going to go super crazy. It's fantasy football. At the end of the day, rushing quarterbacks are key, right? So give me Anthony Richardson at the 102. Yes, like the range of outcomes is large, right? But I swing for the fences there. If Richardson misses, okay, I'm honestly fine with that. When I look at the other three QBs and I go, Will Levis has that similar range of outcomes. Like it could be a complete bust or it could be a difference maker in fantasy football. And in fantasy, I don't know if CJ Stroud, Bryce Young really move the needle much, but Anthony Richardson, oh baby, if he hits, it's going to be massive. He could be the best pick in a rookie mock draft that's super flex.
Dude, I contemplated him at the 101, if I'm being totally honest. Hopefully my microphone doesn't sound too bad. Anyway, I was tinkering around with it here just a little bit, so maybe I fixed it. I don't know. But yeah, you talk about a difference maker at that position. Anthony Richardson, in my mind, is the only quarterback in this class that has the potential to become a Josh Allen difference maker, a Jalen Hurts that'll give you that on the ground. And who knows? I mean, I'm not saying that it's going to happen, but if I'm Carolina and I'm wanting to take the upside shot, they're probably not going to do it. But there's not a 0% chance that they don't take Anthony Richardson at 101. I would if I was the general manager, because I like to swing for the fences, and the fans would probably chase me out of town with a pitchfork. But those are the upside shots that I feel like you have to take, especially in fantasy football, where the rushing upside is just off the charts. So yeah, I was considering him. I tried to talk myself into him at 101. I was hoping you weren't going to take him at 102, but you did. So great pick. I love it. And for this pick, it's Superflex, and I tell you, it's hard living without quarterbacks in Superflex. And I'm going to take another quarterback with upside. And it might be a little controversial, I don't know, but I'm going to go with Will Levis at the 103, because for the same reason you took Richardson at the 102 is the reason I'm taking Will Levis at the 103, because he has that upside. I mean, he's 6'4". He's a big, strong kid that can move around a little bit. And I just think that it might not be right away, but I just think that translates better to the NFL and fantasy football. So that's gonna be my pick, and I have a feeling that the Colts are gonna just be sitting there and waiting to take Will Levis at pick number 4. So.
Yeah, and with quarterbacks, I think the one major thing that I've learned in trying to correctly predict like what rookie quarterbacks are going to be the hits and which ones are the misses, like doesn't matter what the rookie class is. Like it could be a quote unquote strong rookie class. There's going to be like 2 of those guys that flop, that do for various reasons, right? I think back to was it the 2018 NFL draft? Was that the Baker Mayfield? That was Baker Mayfield, Sam Darnold, Lamar Jackson going to the tail end of the first round, that people probably just following the draft capital and going, yeah, give me Baker or give me Darnold. That was the debate, but it turns out the answer was neither on that one. And the key thing I've learned, that was also the Josh Allen draft, is location matters, right? I'm hoping, when we finally have draft locations for these rookies, I'm definitely considering like the stability of the organization. Like Kenny Pickett going to Pittsburgh was best case scenario for Kenny, because the Steelers, it's one of the most respected organizations there. Mike Tomlin's been there forever. There's rarely any big change there. That's a perfect place to go for a rookie quarterback. I am going to stick with QB for my pick here. And I am going to go safe because, yes, at 102, I went upside with Anthony Richardson because legit, if all of that comes together, he can win you leagues. Sometimes, though, in Superflex leagues, just having those guys, those QBs that can get you a single or a double, if they were playing baseball, give me CJ Stroud because, yeah, the upside's not quite the same. Love the comp to Joe Burrow, right? And with CJ Stroud, the very least, like if he ends up being, I don't know, a Kirk Cousins, right? Like talented passer, not much fantasy football upside, can get those like 300 yards, so 2 to 3 touchdown games. I could see that for Stroud. The very least, he's the super flex. Maybe he's not the QB I start every single week. He's the super flex option. I will take that gladly with CJ Stroud.
And I like it a lot. He's likely going to be the number 1 overall pick. So, I mean, the Panthers did sign Andy Dalton, so we talked about it on the Writers Roundtable on Wednesdays, which you should check out tomorrow night, by the way, at 7 p.m. on this channel. But we talked about it, that there's a decent chance, maybe not the overwhelming majority chance, like it's probably not like likely, but there's a non-zero chance that Andy Dalton's the starter, and CJ Stroud sits a year. And that actually might be good for CJ Stroud. I mean, might not be good for fantasy right away, but I really like just his ability to run an NFL offense. And he's going to be solid. He's going to be stable for your fantasy team. I mean, the upside might not be there as like with a Levis or a Richardson, but like on the Sonic Truth today, I don't know if people out there were able to catch it, but the value of just having a quarterback, especially in a super flex format, that can just come in, start, produce like a Kirk Cousins. Now I'm not comparing CJ Stroud to Kirk Cousins. I think he might have a little bit more upside than that. But if that's the outcome, that's not terrible, especially at the 104 here. And even if he has to sit, and we were talking about it, like the Panthers might be the second organization out there that trot out a Andy Dalton with a rookie quarterback type of weird back and forth. So keep your eyes out for that. We'll see. So I think at the 105, I don't know if you want to call it boring. I call it, like I said, in Superflex, it's hard to live without a quarterback. So I'm going to go ahead and take Bryce Young. And I know he's undersized, but he's likely going to get the draft capital that we are looking for, likely going to be a top 10 pick. And when you're watching Bryce Young play, he just kind of reminds me of CJ Stroud without the size. He's probably a better anticipator, or a better thrower or anticipatory thrower rather than CJ Stroud. And he's just a guy that, if you remember the Texas game, he just was able to avoid the rush and get outside and scramble for a first down and put his team in position to win a game. He just seems like a little bit more upside than a Johnny Manziel, who is his best comparable player on playerprofiler.com, I think. And again, I think he's one of these guys that you're just going to be able to slot in for 5 or 6 years at the quarterback position. That's going to give you that, like I said, I hate to use it again, but the Kirk Cousins, like steady, reliable, you know what you're getting without the upside. And it's really hard to live without a quarterback in a super flex format. So if I have an opportunity to take one, even though Jahmyr Gibbs is on the board, even though Jaxon Smith-Njigba is on the board, right? These might be difference-making players. I know what I'm getting in Bryce Young, and I'm getting a starting quarterback likely for the duration of his rookie contract.
Right. And so in terms of filling out the lineups too, it's like there's definitely the tier break of like after Bryce Young, I can promise you my pick at 106 will not be another QB. There is definitely a tier break where you go, that's the perfect time to address other positions. And before I pick 106, I know like in this draft, in a 12-team league, Superflex, the 107 is a spot that I'm really comfortable being at because of this. It's like there's 4 QBs. There is Bijan that will more than likely be gone. Maybe a QB slips a little bit, but that still leaves you with your choice of potentially your wide receiver 1 or the guy that I'm going to go with. I'm going to go Jahmyr Gibbs. I know that's going to be a little spicy going Jahmyr Gibbs over Jaxon Smith-Njigba. It's nothing against the profile of JSN. For me personally, Jahmyr Gibbs, he's the clear RB2 in this class in terms of fantasy football. He's on the lighter side. I wish he was over 200 pounds, but still, it's PPR league. I know we don't have it in the overlay there. It's a PPR league. Having a guy with a 93rd percentile college target share, speed. I wish we had some burst and agility for him, but fast pass catcher. This could be James Cook plus. I'm swinging for upside. Because, like, after Jahmyr Gibbs, like, if Jahmyr Gibbs hits, and anytime I'm drafting rookie drafts, I'm going swinging for home runs. I'm trying to get players at their ceiling there and going, what does that look like? Jahmyr Gibbs, if he becomes just this dominant pass-catching running back, oh, baby, that's going to be awesome in fantasy football. And wide receiver is a position that it seems that time after time, like the top ranked guy or maybe the consensus number 1 receiver doesn't end up being the number 1 receiver. I'm willing to let someone else like kind of take a stab, take a guess at who that is. And then I will take another receiver. But for me, I'm going with Jahmyr Gibbs 106.
Yeah. I mean, the metrics are kind of hard to ignore, right? The 40-yard dash and the speed score. I know he weighed in at under 200 pounds, but that's really not a concern with me. There's been other running backs with lower BMIs that have come in and been RB1s, top 12 running backs, like difference makers for your fantasy football team. And Jahmyr Gibbs profiles as that kind of a running back, and I like it. Like, I like the player. I probably don't like him as much as Jaxon Smith-Njigba, so thank you. That's who I would have taken. Like, but these are like, we're splitting hairs here. But I'm gonna go ahead and take JSN. He would be my pick after the quarterbacks go, just because he was at Ohio State with Chris Olave and Garrett Wilson and super producer at the position, right? And I just think he's that guy. I think he's going to come in right away and be able to produce. And the 40 time is, not exactly what we think of as elite, but people forget you don't necessarily need to run a good top of the line 40 to be a really, really productive receiver. I mean, Devontae Adams, DeAndre Hopkins, these are not burners. They're really good outside receivers who can run routes and create separation, which I think is what Jaxon Smith-Njigba is. So that's going to be my pick at the 107, if I can figure out technology here. So, Aaron, it is your pick.
And Jaxon Smith-Njigba at 107, that is exactly why I love the 107, because if you look at this draft board, you can already see that 107, you're not going to get Bijan, but there's a chance to either get a QB, you can get Jahmyr Gibbs as the RB2, or you can get your wide receiver 1. That's why I love that slot in a 12-team draft. This is where maybe the draft really opens up. I feel like these first 7 picks, maybe the order's a little different. That would be the order. Those would be the players that would be drafted in the first 7 picks. For me at 108, I am going to go receiver. I'm going with the receiver that stands out from the rest of them in terms of just physical build. Give me Quentin Johnston. So is it Johnston or Johnson? I see Johnston with the T, and then I was looking at something. Oh, I got cross-eyed. Never mind. I was looking at Roschon and Quentin Johnston. There's Johnston, Johnson. Wow, that's going to get me in trouble there. But
yeah, so many Johnsons and Johnstons.
Exactly. Yeah. And Quentin Johnston, the reason why we don't have much workout metrics, but we do have 98th percentile burst score. My lessons I've learned when looking at like just athletic profiles is it's great when they test well, but there's a reason we call the NFL scouting combine the underwear Olympics, right? Because these guys aren't wearing pads. They're not wearing what they normally wear while playing football. So sometimes it can kind of lie to you. But in just looking at the game logs, the 3 years at TCU, I'm seeing 22.1 yards per reception, 18.6, 17.8. He's always been a deep threat, a big play guy. For me, it's still surface level stuff, but I go, that burst score looks like it definitely shows up when he's playing college football there, because we sometimes find these guys that bust. So for me, Quentin Johnston, is there some risk? Sure. But 6'3", maybe 210 pounds, big body guy. And there's not a lot of those guys in this draft class. There's a lot of guys that are 5'10", 5'11", 180 pounds or less. Give me Quentin Johnston, the guy that looks different from the rest.
I'm not going to lie. I love how this draft is going for me. I get a couple quarterbacks, my top running back, my top wide receiver, and I could go in a lot of different directions here. I'm contemplating, Zay Flowers. Zay Flowers is tempting, but I think there's a couple running backs on the board. I'm going to play the poker game, and I think maybe I can wait on Zay Flowers, potentially. I probably shouldn't be telling you this, but I'm going to go ahead and take who I believe is the next best running back on the board, and that's Zach Charbonnet at UCLA. And you look at Zach Charbonnet's profile, and nothing really stands out. He's just kind of good at everything. He's got good size, good speed, good burst. Looks like a professional running back. Looks like he could come in and like his comp, I think, is perfect. His best comparable player on Player Profiler is DeMarco Murray, and I think that's a really good comparison, honestly. And if he can come in and be DeMarco Murray at the 109, which I think he has a really good chance to produce right away, sign me up for that at the 109. I really like Zach Charbonnet. He's personally my RB3 in this class.
Oh, Zach Charbonnet, who a lot of people thought was going to come out last season. I'm not worried about him going back for the senior season for a fourth year. Honestly, ever since COVID, that really messed up a lot of these things. Sometimes you just have to look at the profile. So yeah, with Zach Charbonnet, size, pass catching ability, full workhorse. I'm on board with Zach Charbonnet. Now 110, not going running back. There's a lot of question marks with running backs here. And there's some question marks with receivers too. But there's one guy, one receiver. You already know where I'm going with this one, Seth, but it's a little controversial. Give me Zay Flowers, not Jordan Addison. I want Zay Flowers. I am in love with Zay Flowers. I know, senior year receiver. Jordan Addison came out early, but I'm just on board with Zay Flowers. And just researching up on this guy and you know, the bio, the fact that Boston, he's got like all the records at Boston College, right? Which that's not a no-name school, right? Like that's ACC. It's still going against decent competition there. And with Zay Flowers, constantly the college target share after that freshman season was respectable there. That it hit some of the marks that I look for. I want to say in the Breakout Finder, without giving numbers, I don't have it pulled up in front of me here. I want to say the Breakout Finder, before draft capital and everything, I like Zay Flowers a little bit more than Jordan Addison. Just a little bit. They're close. They're neck and neck. And for me, give me Zay Flowers.
I have more insights into the Breakout Finder a little bit later on once we get into some of these deeper picks. Won't give too much away, but you should definitely check out the Breakout Finder app. It's one of the best apps on the market if you're trying to do some rookie research. Very inexpensive as well. There's some add-ons you can get, but the amount of information for the price that you pay for it, I think it's well worth it, especially if you're in multiple Dynasty leagues like I am. So yes, the Breakout Finder, like Aaron mentioned, fantastic resource. So we're at the 111 here, and just kind of looking at what's available. You know, Jordan Addison is there. According to Cody's mock draft, he's going to be the first wide receiver taken. I don't know if Cody necessarily agrees with that, but that's just how the NFL values him at this point in time. So he's likely going to get the draft capital. That might be the safe pick, but there's a running back still on the board that I really like. I think I know Player Profiler really likes, and it's Bijan's running mate at Texas. So I'm going to take Roschon Johnson. I took him in our other rookie mock draft that we're doing. That's also Superflex, by the way, in kind of a mock draft that we're doing for Player Profiler with, you know, the Podfather's in there, Cody's in there, Aaron's in there, multiple other people are in there, and I took him at the 111 in that mock draft, so I'm going to go ahead and take him again at the 111 in this mock draft, and I'm thrilled. I'm thrilled with the way this draft is going. For me, just getting, you know, a lot of the players that I really like. So anyway, so there's Roschon Johnson. If I can figure out how to copy and paste.
Well, while you're copying and pasting there, so Roschon Johnson is a very polarizing, I think, is a acceptable word to describe him when you see where we've got him ranked versus a lot of other sites there. So not saying anything bad about the other places there. It's just that is one that there is a wide range of opinions on him. I saw the comments on the last video, and man, when you made that pick on Friday, I think it kind of broke YouTube for that video there. There's a lot of people that were like, whoa, that's super early. There's some tantalizing upside, right? Like it's when it comes to us drafting Roschon Johnson, we're really relying on course, Cody Carpentier. That is one of his guys. He is pounding his fist on the table there. So the fact that you got him at 111, I know somewhere out there, Cody's smiling.
Yeah, no, and to be honest with you, the safe play is definitely drafting Jordan Addison, because he's going to get the draft capital. We're not sure where Roschon's going to be drafted. We hope day 2, we hope early day 2. But he's one of those guys that, we could really like, and he could fall out at day 2, and it's like, oh my God, it's a risk. But I like the talent and the projection that much that I'm willing to, Roschon Johnson, the size, and, he doesn't run the fastest 40, but he has the size, and he has the endorsement of, the running back that he was playing behind. And if any other running back in the country was playing behind Bijan Robinson, there's no disrespect there for playing behind that guy as often as he did. A lot of guys probably would have transferred, but he stuck there. And
take a wild guess at who has the highest teammate score amongst the running backs in the Breakout Finder.
Yeah. So I think this is a guy that is going to be able to plug and play right away, and some team is going to get a steal on him in the draft, I have a feeling. And oh, by the way, best comparable player on playerprofiler.com, Josh Jacobs. So if he comes in and does close to what Josh Jacobs has done for us in fantasy football, I feel like that's well worth the 111.
Yeah. And the thing, too, that I'll quickly say, too, because we always get these every year, the best comparables feature is one of the most popular things on Player Profiler. Everyone's waiting on those, right? When the rookies come in, oh, who's my favorite rookie compared to? And there's people that have got to learn how to use best comparable players, because this is just athletic measurables, right? So, it's not to say that he will be Josh Jacobs. It's just the encouraging thing is that we have seen a running back, similar build, similar athletic measurables, that has been successful in fantasy football. That's the key thing that you want to look for. It's not saying it's a 1-for-1 that he'll be Josh Jacobs, but it's nice that we've seen that build of running backs work. Now, with the 112, you left Jordan Addison fall right to me in my lap there. It would be an egregious error to let him fall to round 2. This is a Biletnikoff award-winning receiver. And just kind of historically here, those receivers, they get draft capital. They get drafted early. With Jordan Addison, I don't see him falling out of the first round. But if he did, he would not make it too far into the second round. There is kind of some rumors. Maybe the NFL isn't as high on him as certainly fantasy football and dynasty community are on Jordan Addison. I still believe in the talent. I wish he was a bit thicker. 5'11", 173 pounds. That's very much on the skinny side there. But that sophomore season at Pittsburgh, that's pretty dang good. I'm not going to knock him for maybe kind of falling off a little bit the junior season when he transferred to USC. The major thing I'm looking for is just seeing that, hey, this player has been very dominant at a very young age in that sophomore season at 112. Think about it. The team that's picking 112 usually won the championship in the fantasy football league, and they are picking up a guy that there may be some people that's their number 1 wide receiver in this rookie class. I'm ecstatic to get Jordan Addison at 112.
Yeah, and I can't fault you for taking him there, and that would have been the safe play at 111, I'm not going to lie, and then see, if I would have played the poker game a little bit better, see if I can get Roschon Johnson at the 201, because I know for sure I probably wasn't going to get Jordan Addison at the 112, but we have to give the people exactly what I would do, because it's not going to be like a back and forth draft, in real drafts. So I have to be honest, Aaron, with what I would actually do, and that's kind of how I'm approaching this anyway. So we're at the 201. And, I might break the internet again. I don't know. But this guy's pretty far up there in the Breakout Finder. All right. So I'm going to take Tyjae Spears at the 201. All right. So Tyjae Spears, I have analysis prepared on Tyjae Spears, but I got to put him in the spreadsheet. right? Coming out of Tulane, right? Like I mentioned, he's pretty far up there in the Breakout Finder. 91st percentile burst score, 72nd percentile college dominator rating. He's higher than you would think rated in the Breakout Finder. We love him here at playerprofiler.com. 2 years of great production and over 1,500 rushing yards and 21 touchdowns in his senior year. Also, Spears was lightly used until his junior and senior season, so he's going to be fresh and coming right into the NFL, ready to roll. I'm thrilled to get this guy at the 201.
Yeah, it's some people. You're right. There's going to be some people that go, "Oh, it's too early. It's too early." But Tyjae Spears checks off a lot of boxes, and I mentioned it last time we did a mock draft live show. That last game, the bowl game against USC, scores 4 touchdowns. For the people that go, "Oh, Tulane, you didn't play anybody," when he got the chance to go against the big boys, he did exactly what he needed to do. He showed that he's legit. Might be a little on the lighter side, but in terms of he hasn't tested slow anywhere. So, Tyjae Spears, it's upside. But second round of a rookie mock draft, take the dart throws, right? Like, you got to, most of these second round picks, they're not going to do diddly squat in fantasy football. So, like, taking a dart throw on a running back, I love it. No complaints here, because I'm going to follow up the Tyjae Spears pick with a running back pick. Cody won't like it. I already know. I'm going strictly for traits here. Devon Achane, right? Speed, right? And speed, the good thing about speed is I'm kind of approaching this from like NFL teams. NFL loves speed. That will be the one trait that they will probably overvalue. And that's why like MVS with the Kansas City Chiefs gets like a 3-year, $30 million deal last year because he can run fast on a straight line. That may be all that Devon Achane can do, but he's probably going to get good draft capital. He's going to be given opportunities to succeed. Will he succeed? That's the question. But opportunity is key in fantasy football. And with Devon Achane, think of all these running backs, and maybe even over Tyjae Spears too. Achane, I believe, has a better chance. How do I want to phrase that? I think he's got a higher chance of actually given opportunities. Sometimes we've got these run backs. I think of Duke Johnson, who never really got opportunities, looked good analytically, but just the NFL, for whatever reason, never used him. Achane, the speed, he's going to be a day 2 pick. I'll take him at the 202.
I was listening to a lot of people about Devon Achane, and this is off the cuff because this just occurred to me. Like, who is probably just based on his traits and who he likely compares to. Can't you see Kansas City taking him in day 2?
They love speed.
They love speed, man. If he, that's going to be, the Podfather would say, "Oh, it's a trap." But man, that would be very tantalizing for a lot of people if Devon Achane gets the Kansas City draft capital, because some team like that is gonna, pull the trigger on this kid because he does have insane speed. Now, 188 pounds. So, I mean, he's probably going to project as, third down. I mean, I don't know if he's got workhorse in him, but there might be a big play there or 2 per game. I mean, anyway, but yeah.
If he goes to, I know it's the case for any player, but if Achane goes to the right offense, this is Jerick McKinnon going to the Chiefs was perfect for McKinnon. In this pass catching, athletic freak, super fast guy, that's great. McKinnon goes like anywhere else, probably doesn't fire last season. So that's kind of the wishful thinking, and knowing what we know right now, which is very little about these guys besides some measurables. I will be watching like where he gets drafted to, because if it is a Kansas City Chiefs team, I'm on board. That's the fear with Pacheco, right? Is that the Chiefs, maybe it's not Achane, but that the Chiefs draft a running back relatively early. That would be tough for Pacheco.
Yeah, and I think that a team like Kansas City you're looking for that Jerick McKinnon replacement, and it feels like Devon Achane is perfect for that. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. But I like the upside of it. Let's just say that. I'm intrigued by the player. Once you get to this point in the draft, a lot of these players, there might be some still available that I feel really good about. But once you get to this point, like you were saying, you got to take your guys. You just, if you have conviction about a player, don't be scared. Take them. And Devon Achane is very tantalizing for sure. So I'm going to be boring, I think, and I'm going to stick with running back. I'm going to take Kendre Miller at a TCU. Also, at this point in the draft, he's I was surprised by how well he ranks in the Breakout Finder according to these, according to the Breakout Finder. I was surprised at how high up he was there. And I'm somebody who, if I'm going to be drafting in the second round in a format like this, I'm going to take my shots at running back. It's typically like I like to build a team. I like to solidify some elite wide receivers. I like to get elite quarterbacks. I like to, if I'm paying up in a startup, that's where I like to build my foundation. And so if I can take shot after shot after shot in the second round, in the third round at some of these running backs, that's the strategy I've liked, and it's a strategy that's worked for me. Like the Ramondre Stevensons of the world. If you can hit on some of those guys, that takes your team to a whole nother level. And Kendre Miller, when you look at him, like I said, breakout rating, he's higher than you think. I'm not going to tell you exactly where he's at because you got to go get the app. He's not yet 21 years old. Good size. He's 5'11", 215 pounds. And we don't have a 40 for him yet, but in high school, it was in the 4.5s. I saw 4.58 out there that's unofficial. Again, don't quote me on that, but I feel like if that's his speed, I feel like that's good enough speed for his size. And he had a big season at TCU his junior year, almost 1,400 rushing yards. So he's an impressive player to me and worth taking here. Again, a shot at a running back in the second round.
Right. And as I mentioned with your last pick too, it's taking shots on running backs. Nothing wrong, because the second round, everyone will always feel good about the guys they draft. But realistically, I encourage anyone that is watching the show, go back and look at your old Dynasty rookie drafts. Look at the players drafted in the second round. You might be shocked to see that even if a draft like 2 years ago, some of those guys may not even be on rosters anymore. So, yeah, filling up on running backs there, perfectly fine. I will actually break the trend here because I'm going to take a gamble. I'm going to take a gamble on a receiver because it was a receiver that there was a lot of hype for him during his collegiate career. Admittedly, there's been some concerning things that have occurred that have just seemingly derailed his career. That's Kayshon Boutte from LSU. Just, hey, at one point, like the Dynasty community was like, this guy is the next guy. It was Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase are gone from LSU, but we've got this guy, Kayshon Boutte. And it's tough because his sophomore and his junior season have not gone according to plan, which that's what happens when your freshman season, you put up 45 receptions, 753 receiving yards. You set the bar pretty high when that's your true freshman season. So it stinks that he's underperformed since then, but he's only played 17 total games in these past 2 seasons. Comes to the NFL scouting combine, and as Cody would say, you got to fire the agent because the guy shouldn't have been testing. Shouldn't have been testing at all. I'm gonna mark that mainly as just a horrible idea. Like, you got to knock him a little bit for it, but I'm not going to go, wow, that second percentile burst score is pathetic. I can't draft this guy. This is a different position, but like Orlando Brown, do you remember when the big boy, the big tackle, how he tested in the scouting combine? He came in and it was like 14 bench reps, like slow, like all the bars, they barely get off the ground there. So yes, athleticism matters, But for Kayshon Boutte, I sit there and go, this can work in my favor. If he didn't test well, that means he is now falling to the early to mid second round in a super flex draft. I'll take a shot. He's not even 21 years old.
Yeah, and we love the combine. The combine's great, but it's one piece of the puzzle. And who knows what was going on that day, like you said, if that was going to be the result and they knew that was going to be the result, or if they had an idea that could happen, there's really no way you should have let him test, right? So it happened, and yeah, you can. I think this is a perfect spot to take him, because he does have tantalizing upside, like I mentioned with Devon Achane. I mean, he might be, like, who knows? I mean, he's probably going to get drafted on day 2, right? I mean, the 4.5. I mean, there's been good receivers that run a 4.5 40, and he's got decent size, like 5'11", 195. I mean, he's not. I looked at the Breakout Finder because I was interested to see where he ranked in the Breakout Finder, and it's not bad. Like I said, I think where you took him is the perfect place to take him, right? The 204. It's like, yes, that's a perfect shot to take on Kayshon Boutte. I really like that because before the combine, he's probably sneaking into that first round. I would bet. So you're getting a little discount too. So, is it time, Aaron? Is it time for me to break the seal?
Oh boy!
Because we're in a tight end premium.
For a funeral?
We're in a tight end premium league. So I can't remember exactly where I took Michael Mayer in the last draft, but it was around here, and that wasn't. I mean, this is a tight end premium draft, right? And this, I mean, by all accounts, some people that might know a thing or two, this is a pretty good tight end class, pretty good. And I'm gonna take who I think is the best tight end in the group. So so for anybody, Aaron's, chalking up his win already. I'm just going to let you know, right, if we scroll up here. So I got the best running back, the best wide receiver, and now potentially the tight end 1 of the class. So I feel like I'm doing pretty good here. Pretty good. I'm feeling myself a little bit and taking him who I think is the best tight end in this class, and a good tight end class at the 205. Boom. In a tight end premium league. I love it.
I hear you. I hear you with Michael Mayer. I see the college target shares that he puts up. But man, the thing I warned on Jaxon Smith-Njigba and Michael Mayer is that those guys we draft as the top receiver, sometimes they don't end up as the top receiver. Top tight end. Sometimes it doesn't work so well. I mean, honestly, you take Kyle Pitts. He was drafted the first tight end in his class, and Pat Freiermuth was the second tight end, and one can make the case. We've only got 2 seasons, right? Like, an argument at least can be made that Pat Freiermuth maybe a little bit more valuable in maybe not Dynasty, but in terms of fantasy football and seasonal. Which, spoiler, I'm super high on Pat Freiermuth in 2023. He's wherever you've got him in your rankings right now, it's too low. That's the spoiler. It's too low. But
yeah,
don't hate it. Tight end premium, tight end premium, it becomes acceptable. But tight ends, I feel like sometimes we overrate the tight end premium scoring rule. We're like, tight end premium, tight ends become more valuable. Yes and no. I mean, if it's a really, really good tight end, they are able to compete. Like the Travis Kelce's could start competing with the other receivers. But man, the rookie tight ends, it's Russian roulette, and I don't like it. I don't like taking a chance. I will gladly let someone else draft the first tight end. I keep an eye. Some of these tight ends got good, amazing athletic measurables there. Maybe I take a tight end, but not now. This pick is going to go to, Cody's got his dogs. I got my dogs too. Jayden Reed. Freaking love Jayden Reed, right? covered the bio when we did our mock draft on Friday, but just quickly, started at Western Michigan. He played on the same Western Michigan team that had Dwayne Eskridge. I know, complete bust in the NFL, but the NFL wanted to draft that guy in the second round. And as a freshman, Jayden Reed was already better than Dwayne Eskridge. Jayden Reed knew he was better than Dwayne Eskridge. Jayden Reed knew he was better than anyone on Western Michigan. So what did he do? He said, I'm going to bet on myself. I'm going to transfer to Michigan State. Played 3 seasons at Michigan State. All he did was produce. So, yeah, I get it. Senior receiver. He's going to be turning 23. I don't care. Just seeing the guy that he didn't stay complacent. He didn't stay playing at a small school like maybe Sky Moore did, and he comes out early after he plays against nobodies. Nah, Jayden Reed says, I'm a dog. I could take on these guys in the Big Ten. That's exactly what he did. I freaking love Jayden Reed. I love that he's also got some special teams usage too. His best season, like the first 3 seasons, he had over 300 yards first year, over 300 yards of special teams the second year, then 600 yards the junior season. That final season, they bring it back a little bit because, hey, when you're the top guy, the top receiver on the team, they don't want you getting hurt on special teams. But, man, the dynamic score, that's one of my favorite metrics on the Breakout Finder. I love receivers that are dynamic, especially with what we're seeing in the NFL these days. They love receivers. Like the Chiefs get Kadarius Toney, so they could do some unique stuff there. And anytime you're touching the ball, one of my favorite rookies to root for last year, Rashid Shaheed, just give him the ball and he makes something big happen. That's going to be the case with Jayden Reed. So Jayden Reed, I love him. 206.
All right. Well, you there's a couple different directions I could go here. I like your Jayden Reed pick, by the way. I think that's really, really well done. There's a couple wide receivers I got my eye on. But there's also another running back that honestly I'm surprised that he's lasted this long. And I know it's a super flex, but I think again, like I mentioned, a theme of mine is I love to take shots at running back in the second, third, and beyond. And so I'm going to take a guy. I'm going to take Tank Bigsby, another running back with some size who played in the SEC. I mean, he's got decent speed, 4, 5, 6, but he, like I said, he's got the size, and I think he profiles well, and like he's the next man up on the Breakout Finder at that position. So I really like the Breakout Finder. So I'm going to take another chance on a running back here, and I'm going to take Tank Bigsby at the 207.
S-size, yeah. It's always hard to make an argument against those guys. It's just, these running backs, the hard thing is, like, a lot of them just don't stand out to me as being super special. Like one of those guys will end up being the Tyler Algier, right? Which is serviceable.
Exactly.
Some good performances out of them. I'll still try to go for those guys that are going to get drafted in the first round. This will be polarizing. It will. I'm completely sold on him though. Jalin Hyatt, wide receiver from Tennessee. Like, hey, I drafted one Biletnikoff receiver in Jordan Addison, but let me draft another one too. It's really weird when you have 2 Biletnikoff award-winning wide receivers in the same draft class. Key thing that Jalin Hyatt has is speed. Speed. He's another one of those small guys. And it is kind of my knock across this entire class is he's 6 foot. He's sub 180. Golly, I wish I had a little bit more BMI on these on the wide receivers there. I'd love to see that, but speed will get you drafted. Speed will give you opportunities. He will go in the first round. He will. The fact that he just you look at the receivers that win the Biletnikoff Award. The NFL's weird. The guys set in their ways. Like they draft those guys early and often. Sometimes they don't hit, but they will get the draft capital. And looking all time at the wide receiver position, we've got this amazing athleticism score. You definitely have to check out Player Profiler because that's a relatively new feature that we rolled out, and it's awesome. I love being able to look at a receiver and be like, athletically, at his position in the database, where does he rank? Now, it's not in the green. We'd love to see it in the green. but it's not in the red either. And that's kind of the major thing. He's not a bad athlete, despite being small. And that athleticism score, if you're a small guy, you get docked pretty big. But ran a 4.4 40-yard dash. He's got plenty of burst. I'm not worried about the Dyami Brown comp, right? People will see that, and they will immediately go, I can't draft this guy. This is not saying he will be Dyami Brown. What this is saying is that we've seen this profile make it to the NFL. Dyami Brown didn't hit, but Dyami Brown did get drafted, third round in the NFL draft? And Hyatt will get drafted higher. Look at that. Love the alliteration.
Nice. I like it. I think he's got a lot of potential, a lot of upside. But it's it's not necessarily, I mean, for better or for worse, it's I prefer the running backs, and you can kind of see I've taken mostly running back. I've taken no receivers in the second round. It's just how I like to dynasty, and that's fine. And Jalin Hyatt, like you said, is probably going to get the draft capital, right? It's probably going to get the draft capital. And I'm torn here because there's a receiver I like, and there's a running back that I feel like has fallen a little bit too far. But I'm gonna stick with my theme, and I'm gonna take the running back that I think has fallen, and this roster would just be loaded with running backs. I'm gonna take Zach Evans, and I know some people aren't super high on him, but I don't know. When I look at his profile and 70th percentile 40-yard dash, 73rd percentile speed score, and then you look at the 20-yard dash, and that's in the 100th percentile. I mean, I feel like there's enough athleticism here. I mean, decent size. I mean, 5'11", 202, 28.2 BMI, and his college production was good. I mean, again, like I've heard you say the thing where these running backs don't stand out, and I feel like he stands out a little bit. Like, and if I'm taking shots on running back, I feel like he stands out enough to take him here at the 209. So I'm gonna go with Zach Evans.
Good old Zach Evans. And while you were making your pick, Cody's going, it's tight end premium. Where are the tight ends at? I've been waiting. Because I teased you about the last draft. I automatically said I had a victory lap. I didn't draft a tight end in the last mock draft, and that's why I won. And I'll let you have Michael Mayer, right? Sure, you can have him, the unathletic tight end, sure, because Luke Musgrave is who I'm going with at 210, because that's a big boy. That is a 6'6", 253 pounds. He's fast. The athleticism score that I just mentioned with Jalin Hyatt, right? Where I was like, there's no green, no red. I don't have to worry about that with Luke Musgrave. I pull it up and I see those green bars that are almost all the way full. I freaking love that, because if I'm going to draft a tight end, if I'm going to gamble at tight end, I'm going to go with athleticism. We see it time after time after time that the breakout tight ends, the guys that would go, where did this come from? They're always super athletic. So I see the Dawson Knox comparison. I freaking love that, right? Like, yeah, we kind of go, Knox is boring, but no, like, Knox is super athletic. When his number's called, he produces. Would love to see Luke Musgrave in a similar type offense, right? Where they're just going to use him as like a big bodied receiver. And that's what Luke Musgrave is. So I think they got Cody's approval right there with that pick. You're right. It's tight end premium. I've just been waiting because I knew that Seth would keep drafting these fringy running backs, allow me to get like the last good receivers. And then boom, I can get the tight end one in this rookie class.
Tight end one. You think so? I don't know, man. We'll see. We'll see about that. Michael Mayer's got some pretty good size too. Pretty good profile. Pretty good college production. Probably going to be a first round pick.
He's not an athlete. Well, we see it with the first-round tight ends, though. How well has that worked out, though? We've always hyped up those first-round tight ends. One of them was recently in the news, Mr. O.J. Howard signing with the Raiders. And I hate it. Like, that's going to be Michael Mayer. He's going to disappoint you for 5 years and then signs with the Raiders.
Yeah, T.J. Hawkinson's pretty bad. You're right. All right, moving on. Let's see. What do we got here? Gosh, it's my time for my last pick. This is a great comment, by the way. This is a great comment. You see this, Aaron?
I 100% agree with it. It's, that's the warning because those rookie tight ends, like, it's going to be the guy that surprises everyone, right? We saw it time after time after time. That's why when you went Michael Mayer, I was like, yeah, you could take him super early like that. If I want to take a stab at tight end.
Super early?
Yeah.
Super early?
205? Guys, look at some of those guys going after Michael Mayer there. Who knows? Maybe Atlanta will draft him and just have him block all the time.
Man, I don't know. We'll see. They could take, they could be like the old Ryan Pace Bears, and they had like 10 tight ends on the roster. That was something. There's a lot of players I could take here. I'm pretty stacked at running back. I'm not gonna lie. Aaron let me just pick and like cherry pick all these running backs. So I'm gonna go. I mean, it's tempting to take a tight end here, but I only have one pick. I feel like I could keep this going up for a little bit longer. But this is just a 2-round mock. I think I'm gonna go Marvin Mims. And I'm gonna just continue picking off guys that I feel like probably should have gone higher in this draft, even though it's tight end premium. So Mims, you look at his profile, you talk about athletes as I stalled it because I'm doing a lot of things here. All right, I'm running the spreadsheet. I've got my notes that I prepared that I've honestly hardly used because I'm going a mile a minute. I'm mostly going off memory, but now I've got my notes pulled up. And Marvin Mims, I think it's perfect. Again, we talked about comparable player, and it's a range, right? It's just a kind of a marker that could fall within a certain range of outcomes. And I think Marvin Mims, a lot of good things here. Great speed, great burst, great breakout age. He broke out really young. He's small, but there's another small receiver that when I look at this comparable player, I'm like, yes, that's exactly. I don't know if he can run block as good as this player, but run blocking's not going to score you many fantasy points. Best comparable player, Darnell Mooney, and I just thought that was perfect for him, and I'm thrilled to get him at the 211.
Yeah, Marvin Mims. The only hard thing is like all these receivers after a while start to look the same. Not in terms of like the measurables, the advanced stats. Sorry, the measurables. Yes, like slim, small. I'm like, oh my god, because I have a weakness. My final pick too will be a receiver because I have a type. I do when it comes to drafting receivers. This year it's going to be Josh Downs. Freaking love Josh Downs because I love the best comparable of Wan'Dale Robinson because I remember seeing where Player Profiler had Wan'Dale Robinson and I was going, wait a minute, I really love Wan'Dale Robinson. Why do we have him so far down the board? And I was like, you know what? I'm still going to draft Wan'Dale Robinson. And it looked great. He had that breakout game. Unfortunately, the breakout game was also where he decided to break his ACL. He didn't decide, but he broke his ACL. He tore his ACL. But the Wan'Dale Robinson, the Elijah Moore, we see this, and I am a sucker for it every time. I'll keep taking the dart throw on those small but explosive receivers. I can't help but look at the sophomore season, almost a 40% target share. Dear Lord, that's why I love target share. When you get those guys, and that was Wan'Dale Robinson as well, that 1 year at Kentucky, where it's like, man, he did it against SEC. Like that's impressive to have a target share that big. That means the other defenses knew the ball was going to you, and you were still productive. So with Josh Downs, 5'9", 171 pounds, I'm like, oh man, it's tough. I'm hoping the draft capital. We are starting to see the trend, right, of like the smaller receivers. Teams aren't scared to draft them. Wan'Dale Robinson ended up going second round to the New York Giants. Josh Downs, if you can get to the second round, I'm on board because we've seen it. The hard thing is we haven't seen it for a full season, but with Josh Downs, like Elijah Moore, the rookie season, right? That 5-game stretch, it wasn't Zach Wilson throwing the football, and he was something like wide receiver 4 in points per game at PPR. And then Zach Wilson came back and completely ruined Elijah Moore. Wan'Dale Robinson, as I mentioned, massive game, the big breakout game, tore his ACL. So just hoping a little bit of maybe this is the redemption arc, is that we've seen glimpses of this exact profile in back-to-back years, and the third year is a charm with Josh Downs.
So, to recap this draft here real quick before we sign off, right? So, I'm in yellow, Aaron's in orange. So, I went Team Seth is Bijan, Will Levis, Bryce Young, Jaxon Smith-Njigba, Zach Charbonnet, Roschon Johnson, Tyjae Spears, Kendre Miller, Michael Mayer, Tank Bigsby, Zachary Evans, Marvin Mims, and team salary captain is Anthony Richardson, CJ Stroud, Jahmyr Gibbs, Quentin Johnston, Zay Flowers, Jordan Addison. Jahmyr Gibbs. I was like, did you take a running back at all? Devon Achane, Kayshon Boutte, Jayden Reed, Jalin Hyatt, Luke Musgrave, and Josh Downs. Let us know. I can't have Aaron just claiming victory because he didn't win. By the way, he didn't win this time. So you're gonna have to. You're gonna have to. Comment in the chat. Seth won because I did.
Well, and if you do that, just know that you should also totally go, if you haven't already, signed up for the all-in package for playerprofiler.com. Best deal in fantasy football. Normally it's $135. You're getting everything. You're getting rankings. We just dropped rankings for the FFPC rankings, right? Like we've got it all. I'm pulling up the rankings. Like right now we have seasonal rankings already. FFPC. We've got best ball, dynasty, rookie. Like that's just the rankings. That's one small part of the all-in package, but we've got dynasty deluxe, the trade analyzer, the trade finder. We will make you better at dynasty football. Maybe you don't like the advice that Seth and I discussed today on the show. Hey, we've got all these tools that can help you out. The all-in package includes everything, DFS Dominator 2, data analysis. That's where I spend my time, a lot of time, too much time looking up things. And if you use the code Aaron, because I dressed for Seth's funeral here, so his code doesn't work. He's dead. You can use code Aaron, $10 off that all-in package.
I tell you, ladies and gentlemen, my code works just fine. It's SETH if you don't know how to spell Seth, and you should use that code because I also have to crush Aaron in the competition, the creators competition. But you know what? It doesn't matter really because you are going to win if you sign up for that all-in package is what you're going to do. So go ahead and do that. I'm sure that the link is in the description here. So check that out. Is there anything else that we need to plug here, Aaron, before we get off the air?
We've talked about the Breakout Finder. Mm-hmm. Definitely worth your money. Trust me, it's worth your money. The Dynasty Dominator app, too. We produce apps. Legit apps, not websites, apps. Get the Dynasty Dominator app. Get the all-in package. Get the Breakout Finder. Player Profiler is your one-stop shop for everything that you need for fantasy football.
With that, for Aaron, for myself, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button on the video, and we will catch you next time. Happy fantasy football playing and happy research using playerprofiler.com.